Good evening. Today is Monday, July 14th, 2025, 5:30 p.m. First up on tonight's work session agenda is item A, City Update. Brian McCain, Chief of Staff, 5-minute presentation.
Thank you, sir. So we have movies in the parks, 2 movies this week, both Friday and Saturday night. Friday, July 18th is featuring the 2023 Little Mermaid. Saturday, July 19th is featuring the movie Lilo and Stitch. Join us near the City Park rides. Pre-movie activities start at 6:30 p.m. Movie starts when it gets dark and it's free admission. Excuse me. City boards and commissions appointment openings, Pueblo Urban Renewal Authority, Honor Farm Enterprise Citizens Advisory Board, and the Pueblo Homeless Commission. On the Homeless Commission, since we hadn't had enough people apply for the Homeless Commission and last Monday was the deadline, we will leave the application period open until filled. Find more information about the boards and commissions appointments and openings at pueblo.us/boards and commissions. An update on the traffic maintenance department. We are wrapping up our 5-week summer paint session in which 3 workers from the traffic maintenance department, as well as streets department team member, worked overnight to paint road markings across the city. We rotate between sides of town every year, and this year was north of the river receiving most of the work. The crew used 3,000 gallons of paint and 24,000 pounds of reflective beads to paint nearly 100 miles of city roads. Some of the major roadways painted were St. Clair, Union, Dillon, Outlook, Jerry Murphy, West 17th, Constitution Road, and East 8th Street. We also painted lines in City Park, Mineral Palace, and were able to paint the center stripe and drag strip at PMP. Our 3 traffic signal technicians have also been working hard to complete our biannual preventative maintenance inspections. During these inspections, the workers inspect the integrity of the infrastructure as well as the operation of the signal to ensure the safety of Pueblo motorists and pedestrians. We clean traffic controller cabinets and test the conflict monitor, which is the hardware that monitors the system for malfunctions. This is a long process as we must complete these inspections on all 104 of the city-owned traffic signals. The task is an addition to our normal repairs and upkeep. We have 1 sign installer in the field who has been busy installing signs on Drew Dix Parkway to accommodate the opening of the new TA Travel Center. This was on a deadline to ensure safety as motorists as the new business recently opened. He has been also installing new street name signs and regulatory signs along the West 29th Street corridor. And this is part of an effort to keep street name signs in good condition, especially on roads that are being overlaid or will be soon. And with that, that concludes my update.
Okay, thank you. Any comments? Questions from council? Good. Okay, item agenda B is the HVAC for Pueblo Municipal Justice Center. Naomi Hedden, Director of Purchasing. Naomi, you have a 15-minute presentation. Thank you for coming. Turn your mic on too.
Hey, take your own advice.
That on?
Hi.
Good evening, City Council members. As Councilor Gomez indicated, I'm the Director of Purchasing. Last week, I received a call from Councilor Gomez asking me to present a work session regarding sole source procurement. And since that was kind of a random request, sole sources wide area, I asked him if there was a particular project he was wanting more information about, and I determined that it was about the HVAC system. So at that time, I let Councilor Gomez know that this is not a sole source purchase. I'm considering it an emergency. I can't emphasize that enough. Since I only have 15 minutes to go over this and your questions, I'll try to be as brief as possible because there's a lot of information that I've found. Okay. So I don't want this to sound dramatic, but as you all know, the PMJC houses the heart of the city's services. The city's police and the fire emergency dispatch, all critical data and technology for all city departments, millions of dollars in equipment in the IT department and in the real-time crime center, municipal court, and 300 of the city's personnel. If the system goes down, all of that stops because as you all know, there is nowhere to house the personnel or the equipment. It's just not a possibility. And I'm gonna go over, just to give you an idea of how critical this is. The existing system went down 26 times in 2024, 4 times this year. So far, we have paid over $120,000 in just 2 repairs on parts and services. The compressors have gone down several times. The last time we had to wait 7 months to get one manufactured because they're not off the shelf. It's an old system. The current fix that we had to do when it went down was just a Band-Aid. It was 50 man hours and about $5,500 just for filters. And it's my understanding that it went down again today. And I don't know if you all have been up there, but it's a big system. Okay, how do I get this to move? To the next. Okay. So this system, the middle system on the left, this with the black screens, that's where the chillers and the boilers and all of the moving parts are. The system on the end and this other one on the right, it's a circuit that moves the air within the building. I'm going the wrong way. Okay, so the picture on the left is, there are so many moving parts. We have replaced at least twice all of that since 2009. The picture on the top right, that just is air conditioning for the dispatch. It's like a backup system. The big motors, those have to be carried up by personnel. They weigh 250 pounds. That could potentially be a union issue. This system was not made to be up on a building, at least not the main part where the boilers and the chillers and all of that. So as I indicated to Councilor Gomez, I'm complete support of the replacement of the HVAC because we are truly at a critical point. This is not like a pet project or something that we just think is a good idea. All of you approved a contract in October for the design at $175,000 for Bridgers and Paxton to get this design because we knew that it was on its last leg. And I've known about how bad the system is for years. As I indicated to Councilor Gomez, my husband was the HVAC technician for this system since they first put it on, and we've had problems with it from the get-go. He worked on that unit almost daily. They were having issues with the glycol draining. We have the glycol, which is pretty dangerous. It floods into the IT department at least 5 times a year. We have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars of equipment. Every time that some big piece of equipment goes down, I get called to get approval to get it replaced on an emergency. Or we only have a couple of service companies that will even work on it. So I've known about this system being a bad system since day one. So the history on this, and I know because it's been 15 years that none of the people that were involved are with the city anymore. But it's my understanding from the word from 2 public building superintendents that it was a prototype, one of 2 in the nation that were designed. It wasn't designed for a building of this size or for the uses that we have. It was a building, it was designed kind of what they call a plug and play to a building that's just offices. So it was never intended to be used on a building like this, but it was cheap. And they shouldn't have put something like this in a building that was that important. The unit was made in Arizona for use at sea level, not at a high altitude. That's one of the reasons that we constantly have different parts going out. The issue with the glycol, the IT department has not just lost equipment, very important computer equipment, they have lost furniture, ceilings, floors we've had to replace. So the dollar amounts that are just kind of clicking away of what this has cost the city. It's way past its effective life, and it has been for many years. So when I knew that we were at a really critical point when we had the $120,000 that just went out. When it went out recently, I knew that we're just buying time before it goes out completely, and we have nowhere to put everybody. So the Train Omnia contract that was discussed at last week's meeting, we have used that before. We used it at the SRDA, their HVAC system, when that became critical. And it was an emergency at that time too in 2020. Yeah, 2020. So I'm familiar with this. We use what we call cooperative agreements on a regular basis for large dollar equipment. We don't use it on construction projects. Almost never do I approve that, except for, like I said, the SRDA. That's the last time, the only time we've ever approved something like this. But the equipment has been bid out. This is the only method that we're going to be able to get this done before the summer starts of next year. If we get this equipment ordered, if you approve it at this time, we can get the equipment ordered. There's 15 to 20 weeks lead time on that equipment. And because we're using the pricing of the last Omnia bid, which is nationwide, I believe that we're going to be saving quite a bit of money by not bidding it out. And we're also going to be using the contract with Bridges and Paxton, because they've already done, they're in the second phase, I believe, of the design of it. So we could get through this really quickly. They already know what size equipment they need. It's going to be put on the ground. The biggest part of it is going to be on the ground. If at a future time, if that equipment goes out, they can take that equipment, bring new equipment in on a trailer and plug it in to be immediately working until a new system, the system that we have, gets fixed. But the system over at SRDA, we're on the 5th year and we've never had any problems with it. So Train is a very reputable company, probably the most reputable company, especially the fact that we have them here in Pueblo. They could get right on it. And Pueblo is, we don't have a local preference, but in this case, I think that this would be the best decision. In my 27 years in this job, I don't take calling things or projects as an emergency. I don't take that lightly, because we just don't do that. We want everything to be bid out, and we want it to be bid out properly. But in this case, I think that we have the history with Train and with this contract to have it go just about seamlessly, and it would be designed to the building and the needs at this time. So that's about all I have. That, I mean, anything else is just redundant information.
I know we're gonna have a lot of questions for you. Let's start with President Mark Haley.
I don't have anything.
Okay. Council Flores, please.
Uh, The, uh, the process that we're going to be using here, I think I understand why it's an emergency and again, why it's a sole source. It's because in many ways, we can't obtain that in any other fashion, nor do we have the time. It appears to me that time is also a big factor here as far as getting this fixed as soon as possible. My question is, do we have the ability contractually to be able to get a lengthier period of a warranty? Because it will obviously be given to Train as a contract. It just seems to me that there should be some guarantees for such an expensive HVAC system. And I'm just wondering, do we just buy what their standard warranty is? Or is there a way of getting a much stronger and longer warranty as we go forward?
2 years is pretty standard in a construction job of this size. We've never really had to get anything bigger or longer. So at this time, I couldn't answer that, but I'll get back with you on that.
Yeah, it's a question. Maybe it would be worthwhile to consider an extension of that warranty on the law.
Okay, from what I've seen in other situations like this, when components start going out, it's cheaper to buy the component that went out. But in a unit that, like this other unit that is the existing unit, if that has lasted 15 years on a building that it was not designed for, I anticipate that a company like Train that is designing it for this size of a building, that equipment is not going to be going out soon, but I will look into it to see what the cost would be.
Councilor Martinez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's not often we get to see you, Naomi, so it's always exciting to get to hear from you. Okay, so in your 27 years of experience with the city, which that's a pretty long time, how many times have you seen some sort of emergency procurement process like this?
Of this magnitude, I haven't. SRDA was big, and I think that was like a 1.5 million. And at that time, before COVID, prices were considerably lower on equipment such as this. We've had other emergencies, like when we get a big sinkhole and we find out that it's gone for miles, that sinkhole, and the equipment is, or the pipes are old, those. But I don't believe that they've ever gone past 1.5 million.
But in your experience, this constitutes an emergency.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, that building houses so much equipment, and because we've been involved in buying a lot of that equipment, I know how critical it is. We're not going to be able to replace that. It's going to cost us more than that to replace the equipment that's in there. And I believe it's 5.4 million for the main air conditioning system. And then we have the Lieberts, which we were going to be bidding out anyway, which are like 20 years old for IT. I believe they brought it over from the old system. That's critical they have that underneath all of the equipment in the IT department to keep it cool. So that having the Liebert as part of that contract, and Train manages that contract, that's important. And the redundancy system, I believe it was like 800,000. That's critical because we have a system that's running 24/7. It runs in the summer and the winter. The way that system works, the chillers keep the boilers from getting too cold, too hot in the winter. And then it just heats up or cools down the building in the summer.
Mhm.
So having a redundancy system is a good plan. So I think that the plan that they have provided works for this unit. I normally, like I said, when I hear somebody call me and say, oh, this is an emergency, I tell them, I don't think so. Because the last emergency you had, 6 months later, you're still working on it. So, but this, it's just going down more and more. And today we were fortunate that it wasn't as hot as it normally has been. But we're going to have a lot more really hot days. And I'll be surprised just from what I've seen if it doesn't go out completely. And I don't mean to be crying wolf because I don't do that. But it's just that critical.
Speaking of today, Mayor, I heard that it went out today.
Yeah, I was out for about 4 hours. It was over 93 degrees in there. We do have it back on and it's currently cooling the building and working.
Okay, Councilor Maestri, please.
Hi, Naomi.
Hi.
Unfortunately, when stuff like this comes about and it goes in the paper, everybody in the contracting community is calling and having something to say about what's going on. So, just for clarification and more transparency to the public, I was glad that you were coming because I don't think that issue is that it's not, this is just a wish list item.
Mhm.
I mean, that was pretty clear last week. What wasn't clear and what people were not understanding, and this is why you're at the table today, talking about your expertise in the procurement of this contract and the statutory and regulatory process that you have to go through because this is a public money. Could you please tell us, and I know that, it being an emergency is one thing that does allow through the regulations and the statutes in order to sole source these types of things. So emergency is like one of the top, requirements. Could you tell us how the normal process works and how this works differently and how we're able to supersede the statutory process to get to where we're at with the sole sourcing?
Okay. So as I was letting Councilor Gomez know,
Mhm.
this is not a sole source. A sole source is when there is no one else in the country or in our ability to purchase that makes this kind of unit. That would be considered a sole source or compatibility with existing systems, that's another sole source. Or if a company can only sell within our state or region, that's another sole source. So, but this is what we consider a cooperative agreement, which we do use. So the purchasing policy indicates that if it's an emergency, the mayor has the right to choose how to go about procuring. This is not just picking a company. Trane and Omnia. Omnia is a big company that's all they do is do RFPs throughout the nation for roofing, for construction, for lots of different services and commodities. So all we're doing is using another resource that has already been bid. So the Trane equipment was put out by Omnia to different companies, and not just Trane, different companies that make this kind of equipment.
Yeah, because I saw from their site that they actually work with quite a few different HVAC and mechanical um, manufacturers and contractors and so forth. And so are you considering this to be somewhat of a design build?
It is. It is because
So when Bridges and Paxton, what is their role in a design build? Because usually that is taken out by the contractor, the GC or the contractor in charge. Because is Train going to consider Bridges and Paxton's design?
yes, they're working together with, or they would be working together with Bridges and Paxton. And Train will be not just the provider of the manufacturer, but or the provider of the equipment. They will also be managing the contract. So they have a lot on their plate as far as making sure that this equipment works, because they will be managing the contract.
Yeah, I was speaking with a facilities manager at the state level. And he was stating that there's been a time where he's had to do something like this and get permission from the state procurement department in order to make these meet the regulatory and statutes in order to go to a sole contractor. But you're not asking for, we're taking on a project without asking for a guaranteed maximum price in this contract prior to signing it. You know, like we do when we do design builds, we do a guaranteed maximum price by the contractor so they don't exceed like the 8 million that they're quoting.
They are working with Bridges and Paxton,
Mhm.
who we have a contract. So it's Bridges and Paxton is obligated as the city, as their client,
Mhm.
to make sure that whatever price they give us, they're going to hold.
But they haven't decided that because they're not complete with their design yet.
Well, they haven't completed the design, but they're familiar with what equipment they need. But in hopes that you would agree to this as an emergency and allow us to use this cooperative agreement, I've started working with them on the contract. And I've had one of our attorneys look at that, and we're using the same exact contract that we used in 2020. So they're obligated, once they give us a proposal, to
Mhm.
hold to that price. And their proposal has to be within whatever Bridges and Paxton's engineer's estimate.
Yeah, but aren't we agreeing and committing to using them as the contractor? And we have this guesstimate of 8 million, but yet they haven't really submitted a proposal yet. Because everything's not complete.
Well, they
And so
can't,
we're making a commitment without actually having a price in place.
we won't be signing a contract until we have a price. And then that price will be brought to you.
But when do we expect that to be? Because if that's like February, say it's February, or say it's January, say it's, and we've already taken this time to just use one contractor and say it comes in at 11 million. I mean, then we could be starting back to square one.
You'll have a price within the next couple of weeks. And that's the contract that you agree to.
So it'd be a guaranteed maximum price.
Yes.
Mhm. And, I mean, is that something I was wondering if council, considering the air conditioning could go out tomorrow, boom, right? It went out today and it could just be boom, like within a week. Just depends on what this weather does. So we're just kind of in the same boat though, but now we've committed to just one contractor instead of actually opening it up for, competitive bidding.
Well, if you go with the one contractor,
Mhm.
they will have the equipment ordered right after you've signed or you've agreed to the contract, or I've signed the contract.
Mhm.
Then 15 to 20 weeks after that, the equipment will be in and they will be installing it.
And what's the difference of opening it up just, since the design isn't done by Bridges and Paxton, okay? But they're working with Train. What's wrong with working with, other potential bidders?
So I know that the designers
Mhm.
are in the second phase. They're close to knowing what equipment is needed.
Mhm.
So then we could order the equipment. And then from the time that the equipment is ordered, then they'll work on the remainder of how to get it, everything around it, because, the site has to be developed because it's going to be put on the ground rather than on the building. So all of that will be done by the time the equipment is delivered.
Mhm.
So if we put it out to bid, so they haven't completed the design. So
Mhm.
before we put it out to bid, they have to completely complete the design.
Mhm.
And then we have possibly up to 2 months
Mhm.
past that. So we're looking at doing a contract maybe fall to winter. And then they deliver. And we don't know that we're going to get, so if we go based on lowest price, you may not get a company as reputable as Train. We know from experience on other city projects that Train is an exceptional piece of equipment.
Well, when you put out something to bid, you have a manual, specification manual that will specify what exact equipment needs to be installed in that building, correct?
We,
And
Yep.
is Bridges and Paxton only specifying Train?
no, because I believe Train, if we only specify Train, then only Train is going to be able to bid it, and you're not going to be going off of that cooperative agreement, which already has these prices that have been
Well,
locked in.
any HVAC contractor, because all HVAC contractors buy all the different equipment from all the different companies, depending on, who they use, and what these project specifications ask for. So everybody has the ability to purchase the Train equipment. Those who are usually purchase Train equipment, if that was specified. Because we have a lot, we do that in all of our specification manuals. We specify which product it is, and any contractor can, as long as they're using that that specification, they qualify to do the job, correct?
That is the case in some smaller units. What we usually do on a project this big, we would have to say Train unit.
Mhm.
And it's not going to be just a Train something, whatever model number. It's
Mm.
going to have to be a Train unit that is built specific to this building.
Mhm.
So we have to say a Train unit or an approved equal. So then we have to go through that whole process of approving that equipment with the Bridges and Paxton.
Mhm.
So it could take a number of weeks, months,
Mhm.
just to get the questions answered, to make sure that we have the right equipment.
Mhm.
So not only that, but these other companies are not going to have a cooperative agreement. We're going to go on whatever the market is. So if you have a company that's bringing something in that might have tariffs on it, you're going to be looking at a lot more. And Train has a price on this type of equipment.
Mhm.
So it's a good contract. I've not had any problems with any of the cooperative agreements. And I think that this would be in my opinion, I think this would be your best bet for this building and for the value. Because we could go with lowest bid. We could put it out to bid and
Well, you know, that's the thing is I hear a lot right now, chatter about lowest bid isn't always the best bid, but yet that is according to, those aren't just, we didn't make that up, right? That's part of the regulations and the statutes of putting out for the competitive bid process. And so when we say that, what we're doing is all of those who have served this community under lowest bid, we are not, that's not speaking highly of those contractors and subcontractors that we have worked with for years and who have offered good services.
Mhm.
So that's just a regulatory, that's a law. That's kind of the law around the bidding process. And that's, you know, so that we don't have situations that, you know, people always want to accuse people of.
right.
Mm,
And
that-
we do go lowest and best,
Mhm.
most responsive and responsible bidder.
Mhm.
So I've given you as much information as I can. I have worked with a lot of cooperative agreements. We researched these cooperative agreements. So we worked with them well, when they did the SRDA. Nothing, we never had any problems. They came in on budget. And we've not had any problems with that equipment.
Yeah.
So,
It'll be interesting to see what the actual budget is when they're finished with the plans and where we're going to be sitting at the.
but once
guaranteed-
once they give you that proposal, they have to. meet
I
that.
realize that, but we're not there yet. And now it's just like talk and that's what's got it, the community kind of in an uproar. You know, so.
In reference to time, we got to move along a little bit. We've been going on. It's pretty good. Councilman Flores, please.
I'll try to be brief.
Okay.
We have to move forward. We got to replace this. There's no question about it. I'm more concerned about protecting the city going forward. And one of the things that I've discovered is that there's a lot of contracts that are called EPC contracts. And these contracts involve the engineering, the procurement, and then the construction. Is Train going to be doing all three of those? Is it going to be one contract or are we going to have a?
No,
separate
it's gonna
contract?
have, it's one contract.
Okay, so the designer or the design company really is working for Train, not for the city.
We already have a contract with Bridges and Paxton that
Okay.
was approved by council, October 15th.
So is their work done?
They are
Okay,
on the
that's
second
good.
phase.
Right.
We're going to save like 32,000 from their 175,000 by going with Train. I mean, I know that
Maybe-
that's a drop in the bucket, but
Yeah, and this is so important because the way you described this unit at the very beginning in 2009, it was designed incorrectly. That it had so many flaws. And at some point, the city should have sued the designer of that system. So it's so important that we get a reputable company that has professional liability, that if they design this secondary unit incorrectly, that we have a cause of action against them for designing it. And it sounds like that should have been done back in 2010, where you said there was problems from the very beginning.
yeah.
And we didn't take advantage of that. And then the other thing I want to make sure that we don't forget is that we sometimes have insurance for a mechanical breakdown of that size. In the old days, when all buildings like this, we used boilers and you buy a special policy called a boiler policy.
Mhm.
Now they're called mechanical breakdown policies. But we have to make sure, okay, that it just sounds like all the problems that occurred over the last 15 years, there could have been insurance that we had if we had this many mechanical breakdowns. And but we lost the opportunity because it's so long ago that all this, it happened over a long period of time. But we have to make sure that we protect the city, not only in making sure we get the best product, but that we have the proper insurance so that if somebody sells us, whoever it is, even Train, we get an improper design or a unit that has many, many problems, that the city doesn't have to go back into their general fund and have to pay for that, that somebody that made that big of a mistake should be legally liable for correcting it. And that's the only thing I'm concerned about at this point.
Okay, I will get an answer for you and provide it to you in the next day or two.
Okay, any other counselors, any other comments, questions? I think we're good, Ms. Hedden. Thank you for your presentation.
All right, thank you.
Okay, next up, agenda item C, CSU Pueblo Development Project. Garrison M. Ortiz, Vice President of University Operations and CFO. Betcha Cortez Williams, PC, Special District Law, 15-minute presentation. Thank you for coming, gentlemen. Yeah. Okay.
Well, good evening, council members, mayor, and my apologies for crashing the party.
I'm gonna crash pretty because this is, can you please address? I think that's important.
That's correct.
I wanted to introduce Rico Munn, who's the acting president at CSU Pueblo. You are not on the list here. I wanted to recognize you.
Surprise guest appearance. Thank you, Councilman Flores,
Thank you, Councilman.
for acknowledging that. And I wanted to make sure I was here tonight as part of this presentation. I was here last time we spoke about this and to thank the city, thank all of you for your support for this ongoing conversation, for the support and looking at this truly unique and innovative project for the university. You know, there are 3,927 institutions in the country that receive what's known as a Carnegie classification, which is a classification for higher education institutions about their quality and the work that they do. And for those of you who were at our gala a few months ago, you heard me comment that CSU Pueblo is one of only 33, less than 1% of those institutions that received a classification that, and two classifications that identified us as both a research institution and an institution that provided opportunity for students. Which demonstrates that we are a truly unique institution. Less than 1% in the country does what we do of really educating at a high level what is the new majority of Americans, Americans who are facing socioeconomic challenges, who are rural, who are veteran, who are Hispanic, who are recognized as other minoritized groups, along with traditional students. But to maintain the work that we do and to maintain that uniqueness, we need to keep moving forward. We need to keep doing innovative things. And this project represents some of that work, a way of serving students, a way of connecting us to the broader community and bringing all those things together in a way that continues to move CSU Pueblo forward. So I'm proud to be here tonight in support of this and recognition of this. I'm going to let Vice President Ortiz and some of our legal experts go into the detail of that work. But thank you so much for your time and attention to this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, President Munn. Good evening, City Council, Mayor, City Clerk and staff. Thank you so much for the time tonight. You've already heard about this project a couple of times. Tonight, we're really here as in an official capacity to look for your approval to move forward with our next milestone in this project, which is the creation of 3 different metro districts, which plays into a really a very unique public finance strategy for our development project. In fact, making it one of the first in Colorado with a metro district and URA overlaid on top of state land. So we have our very esteemed special district law firm here. Do you have control over the slide deck, Suzette, Marianne?
I don't think I do. I believe city staff does.
Okay, well, I guess I hold that power. So just give me my cue and I will keep us moving along. Before I hand it off to them, okay, so we can see Marianne and Suzanne. Okay. I can go to our first slide. Perfect, thank you. As you can see here, this is our project that we brought to you here a couple of months ago. This includes a mixed-use commercial development to include mixed-use retail, quick-service restaurants, a standalone restaurant, a hotel, student housing, a hotel, and possibly some other residential development. So just kind of to reorient you to our project that's been before you. These three metro districts are looking at the project area that you can see here. So I will hand it off to Mary Ann to talk a little bit about what a service plan is and the decision before you tonight.
Yeah, and I think Suzanne is going to take the lead on this presentation, and I'll be here to help answer questions.
Great.
Thank you for the introduction, Garrison, and thank you to the council members, the mayor, and all the folks at city staff who got us here tonight, including the folks in the city clerk's office, the city attorney's office, and all the folks in planning and community development. It's hopefully our goal is to answer your questions and to be informative for the council members. And so in that vein, please don't be shy to interrupt me. I certainly don't want to be a talking head if you have questions on certain slides or points that I make. And if you're comfortable with a little informality, my last name is pretty tricky for people to pronounce, so please feel free to call me Suzanne. Before I get into the presentation, there were two main takeaways that we're really hoping that council takes away from tonight's presentation. The first is that these proposed metropolitan districts are really a public financing tool to ensure that the horizontal improvements, the public improvements, so the streets, the water service, the sanitary sewer, some park and recreation space, that those horizontal improvements can be installed to benefit and service this really cool project. And then secondly, the second takeaway is that approval of the service plan, which we would come back and ask for your approval in a public hearing in August, this is the first step of a multi-step process. And so when you hear us talking about deadlines, it's because all these deadlines are back calculated from a November election date. And the reason that the November election date is important is because the November election is when we're allowed to do TABOR and debt questions for the organization of these districts. So with those two kind of main points, the presentation I'm going to go through is firstly to give you some background. So what is a service plan in general? What do metropolitan districts do? Secondly, to talk more specifically about these service plans in particular. And then thirdly, to kind of tie the loop together for you and show how we believe that these service plans and these metropolitan districts meet the city's comprehensive plan. So first, under the background, what is a service plan? It's the document under which the metropolitan districts operate. And so we consider these analogous, to a municipal charter or a state or federal constitution. And so this document needs to strike a balance between giving the districts enough flexibility to tackle unforeseen circumstances, but also limited enough so that we don't have unrestricted authority. And so in that vein, what the service plan does is defines what we can do. For example, what public improvements we're authorized to install, what mill levy we're authorized to impose, and what our maximum debt limit is. Next slide, please. Next, very generally speaking, I wasn't sure how familiar council members were with metropolitan districts. Metropolitan districts are just a type of special districts. And so when you think of special districts, there are fire districts, library districts. A metropolitan district is just a form of a special district that under statute has to provide at least 2 of the 10, I believe, enumerated powers. But those powers can include, like I said, streets, water improvements, and sanitary sewer. They are governed under Title 32 of the Colorado Revised Statutes. For these particular districts, we are proposing 5-member boards. there is a provision for 7 members that you can ignore, because for these we'll be proposing 5 members. They are elected by a majority vote of eligible electors within the boundaries, and there are 4-year staggered terms. Once the districts are organized, regular elections are held in May of odd numbered years. So after organization, the next regular election would be in May of 2027. Next slide, please. So this goes to one of the overall points I mentioned. How are special districts formed? So the first step is that your council, city council, would have to approve the service plan. After the service plan is approved, there's a step where the petitioners petition to the district court and ask the court to issue an order calling the election, assuming all the statutory elements are met. Once the court calls the election takes place. And in this case, we're hoping again for that November 2025 election. Once the election takes place and the election results are certified, the districts then go back to the court. The court issues an order. That order gets order and decree creating district. That order gets recorded. And as of that recordation date, the district is considered formed. Next slide, please. So why do folks use metropolitan districts? As I mentioned at the top of the presentation, these are really just public financing tools. It's really to ensure that all the horizontal infrastructure that's necessary to service development gets done. And it's really kind of a Colorado ethos for growth to pay its own way. As a side note, some folks are under the impression that metropolitan districts are a new thing. That's not true. Special districts have been used since before even the state was a state. So the people in Colorado started using special districts to fund infrastructure going back to 1861 in the mining days. Next slide, please. So what are some of the safeguards that metropolitan districts are subject to? Metropolitan districts are a form of local government, and as such have to comply with all the same types of things that you folks have to comply with. So the metropolitan districts would be subject to open meetings laws, to KORA requests. We are subject to the Colorado Election Code. They are also subject to local government audit and budget laws. And in addition, there have been some recent transparency laws passed at the state legislature for transparency purposes. So these include things like disclosure to purchasers, which are things that get recorded in title to tell prospective residential purchasers about what the maximum mill levy and whether there has been any debt issued. Also, really importantly, the districts have to comply with the service plan, which is the document we would be asking for council approval for in August. And any changes, or if we go outside the boundaries of those service plan, we have to come back and ask you first and get a modification to that service plan before that action is taken. Next slide, please. So now moving on specifically to these, the districts that we're talking about today, under these proposed service plans, we would be asking for a maximum debt mill levy of 50 mills, but adjusted for changes in how the assessment rates are calculated, which is determined by the state. We are asking for an unlimited operations and maintenance mill levy, and that's really just so the end users, when it comes time, have enough flexibility to generate revenue for any of the, for example, open space or landscaping tracks. They have enough revenue to make sure those things are well taken care of. The engineer's estimate for the horizontal infrastructure to serve this project is just over $11.7 million. And we would be respectfully asking for a $21 million debt limit. And the reason that we ask for more debt limit than what the public improvements cost is because in any public municipal bonding or financing transaction, there's cost of the transaction. And so the proposed numerical plan that we sent to city staff, the bond par amount was just about $4.2 million to pay for this amount of public improvement costs. And with inflation and things like that, we get up to $21 million pretty quickly in 5 to 7 years' time with historical inflation rates. So that's why there's that delta there of about $10 million between the cost of improvements and the debt limit that we are asking for in the service plans. Next slide, please. So this is a smaller map of the first slide that Garrison presented. The total acres is approximately 116 acres. We're anticipating about 820 folks residing there. We are asking, we have 3 different metropolitan districts here, and the reason we're asking for 3 different districts is to account for the different types of property uses at the end. And so we would propose a commercial district, a for rent residential district, and a for sale residential district. And the reason for that is it may not be equitable to impose 20 mills on the commercial, but not 20 mills on the residential. And so it gives the districts the flexibility to impose different mill levies on the different uses. Next slide, please. Under these proposed service plans, these districts, these are the list of powers. These include the top 3 ones, the big ones, which is again, street, water, and sanitation. But there's also park and recreation and some transportation and fire protection improvements as well. There's also operation and maintenance services. So to the extent the city didn't want to take on operation and maintenance of open space or parks, things like that, these districts would have the power to do that. Next slide, please. The anticipated sources of revenue to fund these districts would include the mill levy. Garrison mentioned the potential cooperation with the planned urban renewal authority, and then the issuance of bonds with revenue flowing, excuse me, from the urban renewal agreement, and as well as the debt service mill levy.
Can we wrap this up in the next couple of minutes?
Sure.
Okay.
And then let's fast forward through all the, let's see, next slide. This is just a map. And then I certainly don't want to read the city's own comprehensive plan to you. But if Garrison, if you have control, if you could fast forward basically to the last slide. There you go. We believe that because of these multiple different uses, it supports these portions of the city's comprehensive plan. So that's it for the presentation, and happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Councilman Flores, please.
I was wondering, as you go through this whole process, of creating these metro districts, is there any, at the end of the day, is there a way of calculating or analyzing the economic impact that it would have to the entire city and to the university specifically too?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, Councilman Flores. I think that it might behoove us to tap our own university, especially in the School of Business. I know they've done several economic impact studies for different sectors of the community already. So I think that's a great idea. Let me take that back. There are certainly some estimates that you'll see in the URA plan documents and that you'll see in these documents before you for the Metro District. But I think it would be good to have something more comprehensive. So let me go back to Dr. Wakefield and see what we can do.
My last question has to do with your timetable. Obviously, you're moving this train forward, and just curious as to when the council can expect to see some of the items that need to be looked at and passed by this council.
Yeah, thank you. And you all have been fantastic thus far. So really appreciate your support. That's helped us really move. I think we were looking for a public hearing sometime here in August before you for the new Metro District. You'll be likely having some URA plan docs before you within the next week or so. Our goals are to have the 3 Metro Districts and the urban renewal area created by the fall of this year, which keeps us on track with our master developer selection process, also tentatively planned for the fall of this year as well. So we think all 3 of those tracks coming to fruition in the fall put us in a really good position to advance the project going into next calendar year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're gonna go to Councilman, President Marquez.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not very familiar with the Metro District setup, but I just have a couple questions. How does it pertain to the city of Pueblo when it comes to property use and sales tax? Does that money still come back to the city? Because I noticed in the presentation, you said you're gonna, as part of your financing, the Metro District keeps its own property taxes, correct?
That's correct. And Councilman, you have the luxury of having an expert in Council Gifford here, who I worked with at the Pueblo West Metro District, if you have any specific questions. But yes, overall, conceptually, the Metro District is a public financing tool. It's utilized quite a bit and pretty prevalently up north. We have another Metro District. We have obviously Pueblo West Metro District, Colorado City, but there are 3 Metro Districts, with the third being just to the east of our campus. I think there might be another that was recently passed north of campus, but it's utilized as a public finance tool to harness those taxes and put them to use for usually sewer and utilities and running other infrastructure. That's more or less what we'd like to do with it, including the extension of Desert Flower Boulevard, which, as you know, is a city road. So yes, we're looking to harness those taxes through the Metro District in conjunction with the URA to make those public improvements necessary for a private developer to construct this new development.
And does it pertain to sales and use tax?
So the sales and use tax discussion will certainly be before you when we put the urban renewal area plan docs in front of you, and that is our request. That has not been, I guess I'll just say, the custom with URAs, but I've made I guess the pitch or the vie that this project's a little different. The university is not just another developer coming before you for tax remittance. This project, as you can see and have seen, holds the potential to really transform the entrance to campus and, quite frankly, to create a whole different student experience at CSU Pueblo.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Martinez, then Councilman Latino, and then Councilwoman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I think that this is really exciting. I do have a couple of questions, Mr. Ortiz. My first one is, listening to that presentation, I didn't hear the difference of why, or of that, this is state land. What's the difference, or how does this make it special because it is state land?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, to the best of our knowledge, and when you start to work in these circles with special district law and our attorneys on the URA side, what makes it unique is the fact that it's state-owned land on a higher education campus with a URA and a Metro District overlaid. So we have not seen we've seen these public finance tools utilized for primarily development in urban areas or rural areas for residential development. But from everything I've seen and our associates on the project team have seen, there has not been these public finance tools when it comes to to a university or a college on campus. And so that's what really makes it unique. And I think it will, quite frankly, I think it's going to serve as a model for how public-private partnerships can work moving forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the process isn't necessarily different because it's state land.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. We are going, as I said in the beginning, the road for this project really runs through the city, whether it be the URA, the Metro Districts, the property sales tax remittance. That's why we've been bugging you quite a bit, and you'll see us maybe one more time or so. So the process is all the same that we'll follow, which is yours. But the design of this project on our land is unique and the only in Colorado.
So for other Metro Districts, the mills are normally placed then on the residents that live there with, later on when property is already built and things like that. I want to make sure that the mills are not going to be placed on the students in terms of, their student fees or, living in the student houses. I know that you're saying residential for rent and for sale. I just want to make
Right.
sure that the mills, whatever that's going to translate into actual dollars,
Sure.
are not going to be then translated into higher, student costs.
Right. A big goal of the student housing apartments is really to provide options and realize economies of scale in terms of student housing. There are not any additional student fees that we're imposing by the creation of the metro districts. And those have some pretty well-defined structures even within CSU Pueblo for how those student fees are established. So I think the answer is no, it won't create any
Okay.
additional burden on student fees or a student bill per se.
Okay. And then my last question is around the current mills that are already there.
Well,
What are they?
the land is currently owned by the Colorado State University system. So to our benefit for the URA and the Met District, the base is zero currently at the moment. It's undeveloped land. It's owned by the university. It's off the tax rolls at the moment.
And so I know that, D60 has a mill that does not interfere with this.
Yeah, so Metro District discussion tonight, separate mill levy, but for the URA discussion, you're absolutely right.
Okay.
When those documents come before you subsequent to this, we'll be doing a lot of stakeholdering.
City, county.
That's correct.
D60,
As
library.
I said, we'll become very familiar with one another here over the next couple of months, but I appreciate your question. Councilwoman.
And then Councilwoman.
I've visited with Mr. Ortiz several months back about this project and I visited briefly with Dr. Munn as well. And it's in the district up there where there's a lot of potential, and I think it's a great project moving forward. So I'm excited about this particular project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Maestri.
Can I see the map again, Marissa? Thank you. So you're going from the outer sidewalk. Let me see, here it is. The outer sidewalk here on Walking Stick Boulevard in towards 47.
Maybe you can get there faster than me. There's another map that shows further to the west. So there's a map, forgive me, Councilwoman Maestri, there's a map that shows to the west of campus. The project area spans 116 acres approximately, all the way to Walking Stick Boulevard, which runs north to south. Desert Flower Boulevard is there at the intersection as well. Our goal is to connect Desert Flower Boulevard from east to west, which is a much needed connection. It will really serve the current residential homes there, but also some of the bigger builds that you've mentioned as well. As far as the mixed use commercial, that will really hug the southern part of the campus. Here we go. This will hug the southern part of the campus, and we'll create two different roundabouts coming off of Bonfort Boulevard.
Okay.
So if you're coming off of Bonfort Boulevard, imagine the very first thing that you'll see is this new mixed use development. If you were to take a left and head to the west, you would now have a new Desert Flower Boulevard connection providing access for residents, students, and those on campus alike.
Because, I'm sure that the city Public Works Department would love for you to pave Walking Stick Boulevard. Because it surrounds the campus, right? You want a complete, beautiful, all new look to it. And then that would get a lot of constituents off their back.
Yeah, there's
You're committing to that?
it
Record tonight, person. You didn't want to come here for free, right?
Well, we'll definitely commit to doing the Desert Flower Boulevard connection, and we've met with city staff on that project, and we think that extension will really help. But we can talk later about Walking Stick Boulevard.
on the day we sign the agreement. We'll do that. Thank you.
Councilman
you.
Austin?
Thank you. What would the estimated cost savings for the city be with the paving of Desert Flower Boulevard and some of the other improvements that you guys are going to be undertaking, since we're going to be kind of surrendering some of what we would be receiving?
I appreciate the question, Councilman. I have a number that is rambling up in my mind, but Marianne, is it, I want to say it's close to $6.3 million that was estimated. Darlene Horn did some of the engineering work. That's the number I recall. It might even be a little bit higher than that. Do you recall, Marianne?
Off the top of my head, no. Suzanne, do you have the information on the project improvement?
Yeah, just a minute.
I remember when you guys came in and initially presented this, I thought I remember a figure around $8 million is what you estimated maybe to save the city in costs by doing some of this work.
Yeah, great question. I think total, let's see, roadways at just under 5.9 million, and then a road repair estimate of just over 1.3. So that, I think, gets pretty close to the number you were talking about, Councilman.
I appreciate that. And that includes not only the extension of Desert Flower, but also the portion of Desert Flower that comes to Bonfort Boulevard, which is a city road, as you know, as well. So, but obviously the bigger the pot, the more options there are down the road. And I appreciate your acknowledgement of the investment in city infrastructure.
Yeah, I've been following this very closely ever since the idea came about. And, you know, I just think this provides a huge opportunity, and I know you've done a lot of due diligence on this, and you've put in a lot of time and effort, and you know, the developers that you brought to town and showed them, I mean, there's just could really provide a lot of good potential to the university, to the community. So I'm hopeful that this could be something that's going to be coming forward here very soon in the future to life.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Ortiz. Thank you, Rico. I don't know your last name, but your first name means rich, right?
In some languages, yes.
Yes, in my language specific. I appreciate you guys coming out.
Thank you.
Next, we have just enough time to get the Steel City, Arkansas River Festival. Lindsay Martin, Outdoor Recreation Administrator. Stephen Meyer, Director of Parks and Recreation. You have a 15-minute presentation. We're going to try to finish on time. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. We're here tonight to talk about the Steel City, Arkansas River Festival. So it's a big water event down on the river. Lindsay Martin, who's been working on it for the past year, very hard. And I think she's got it all put together, and she wanted to come tonight and kind of show you what she's got going. So with that, Lindsay.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, I just wanted to tell you about this cool event that I've been planning, 12 days. So you guys have 12 days, clear your calendar and join me. It's the Steel City Arkansas River Festival, or SCARF, because that is kind of a mouthful. It's a free community festival to highlight the Arkansas River and outdoor recreation opportunities in our area. When? 12 days, Saturday, July 26th, all day. 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. So plenty of time to come and join us. Where? The Arkansas River. It's going to be a big chunk, 3.5 miles of the river, starting at the Nature Wildlife Discovery Center, the river campus, going all the way down to downtown, the Whitewater Kayak Park, which is starts just below the 4th Street Bridge. So it is pretty big imprint, utilizing the whole river. Two main areas, Waterworks Park, our gorgeous new park that Pueblo Water did for us. A lot of different aspects here at Waterworks Park. We'll have a vendor village with community partners, our sponsors, food trucks, free water for attendees because it's going to be a hot one. Free bike valet parking provided by Grassroots Gravel, beer garden, provided by Paws Animal Shelter. This area will also be the finish line for the Build Your Own Boat Race. We'll have a river surf competition by Badfish, which is a company out of Salida, so they're helping with that. and is also going to be the starting point for the paddle and bike parade. And that the other main area will be the Whitewater Kayak Park, the Levy Pillar Park area, what we're calling Trailgate, which is because, you know, every party needs an after party. So that'll be from 2 to 7 p.m. We'll have live music at Pillar Park, more food trucks actually on the levee. So that'll be pretty cool to see. The Colorado Lottery is presenting us with the Starburst Award at 5:30 for the levee trail. We'll have hands-on demos, fly fishing, disc golf, skateboarding, and bike repair, all by community partners. Our artists that paint the levee murals, they'll be there also talking from 2 to 6. And then this area will also be the ending for the paddle and bike parade and the rubber duck race. So just going into the events a little bit. So it'll start at the Nature and Wildlife Discovery Center and work its way downstream throughout the day. We'll have the Build Your Own Boat Race will be the first event starting at 10 a.m. So we'll start at the Nature Wildlife Discovery Center and they'll race down, going to Waterworks Park. That'll be the finish line. The Freestyle River Surf Competition, Paddle and Bike Parade, Trailgate, and Rubber Duck Race. I'll talk about each one a little bit. So the Build Your Own Boat Race will be about 1.25 miles downriver, going down the cool drops at Waterworks Park. They'll be racing. We have 4-man teams. Oops, sorry about that. The finish line right there at the bottom. So if you're familiar with the new Waterworks Park area, there'll be a great spot to watch the ending of that. Watch the teams come down and fight for the winning, fight for the bragging rights. Next competition or next event for the day will be the freestyle river surf competition. That new awesome lower wave. This event is dependent on water flows. If the flow is too low, then we won't be holding it. We just want to provide a quality event. So if the surfers can't even get up, you know, we don't want to put on a half subpar event. Sorry. So that's pretty cool that Bad Fish is coming down from Salida. It's a pretty well-known brand. They're impressed with the new wave. So a lot of tourism coming in, people from Denver. We have people registered from Springs, up north, Littleton. So that's pretty cool, bringing some tourism in. This one, Paddle and Bike Parade. So it'll start at Waterworks Park. See the little map up there, start and it'll go about 2.5 miles downriver to Pillar Park area. Just a nice community float. Not everybody's comfortable floating in the river by themselves. So, you know, let's go as a group, make it more comfortable, safe. If you're still not comfortable getting in the water and floating down the river with us, you can ride your bike because the trail, we have a great trail system and that goes right along the river. So we'll have somebody leading that part as well. And it's free. You just got to pre-register. Then our after party, Trailgate, live music. We're partnering with the college, the media and entertainment department, and they're helping us with the live music. We have 3 bands scheduled. Then food trucks, the Colorado Starburst Award presentation at 5:30. Come talk to some mural artists from 2 to 6, and then the hands-on demonstrations. If you want to learn a new hobby or just brush up on disc golf or fly fishing, we'll have those partners there from 2 to 6 as well, spreading their knowledge. This one, everybody can do. Rubber duck race, you just adopt a duck. We'll be sending ducks over where they're all lined up right there. That is Wild Horse Creek Bridge. And they'll be floating downriver to Pillar Park area or the Charles Lee Bridge, that pedestrian bridge below 4th Street. And the first 5 ducks that cross will get a prize. So unfortunately, you don't ever get to touch a duck. You just get to cheer on. So you can stand on top of the levee wall and watch them float down the river and hope your number wins. And how do you get there? Because we all are aware that parking's not the best along the river and at some of our points of access. So free shuttles, working with Pueblo Transit to offer free shuttles We have 3 stops at the key points of the festival. It'll be running from 10 to 7 PM. Yeah, we'll also, if you want to ride your bike there, I'll get there on the trail. We'll have free bike valet brought to you by Grassroots Gravel from 10 to 3 at Waterworks Park. So this is me inviting you all to come join me next Saturday, not this Saturday, next Saturday from 10 to 7.
Thank you.
Any
Thank you.
questions?
Steve, anything? Council, comments, questions? I think we're good. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilman Barston, sorry.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for all that information. This sounds like really fun. It just highlights a lot of our wonderful amenities, one of them being the new water parks. So just make sure you be safe, have fun, get out there in the sun and enjoy these new amenities. One of the wonderful, great new things Pueblo has to offer.
Okay, any Councilman Flores?
Did you mention the kayak park? Was there any kind of activity on the kayak portion of it, of the river?
In the water, no. The people who are working with were afraid the flows weren't going to be there. It's all about the flows and there's a lot of silt built up. I learned too that our old, I guess, kayak park needs a little love. So
Right. It's all about safety.
yeah, all about safety and
Thank
money.
you.
Councilman Latino?
Yes, I've had the opportunity of visiting the area and I'm very impressed. A couple of weeks ago, I was up there and I'm very impressed with that. I think it's going to bring a lot of tourism to Pueblo and it's going to be a great thing for young people and for people in general. So I'm excited about that. I really am. Thank you.
Councilwoman Martinez?
Thank you. How many people are we expecting for this?
It's the first year, so your guess is good as mine. I'm shooting for
5,000,
I like that.
15,000.
Well, I hope not 50. 50.
I don't want to like,
Jinx it.
I only have so many restrooms in the area, so hopefully I have enough restrooms. I have enough restrooms for about 1,200 people,
Okay.
but it's throughout the day. I figured with spreading it out through a bigger area and throughout the day, it won't be so cramped in one. 5,000 people at Waterworks Park would be pretty crazy. But awesome.
Well, there's a lot to do, Lindsay, and I know you've worked your butt off. So congratulations on making it happen.
Thank you.
Okay, Lindsay, Steve, thank you for the presentation. Let's go to Marissa before you guys leave. Marissa?
I have a logistical question.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to go do the free float,
Uh-huh.
how do I get back to my car? Or
The free shuttles.
so I didn't see that the shuttle went to Burkhart Crossing to get there.
So as you might be aware, there's no real good access point to get down to Waterworks Park. The closest that transit felt comfortable getting is that pavilion on top of the hill in City Park. So you will have to walk downhill to get back. But they will pick you up at the bottom of the hill of Pillar Park. So that's
Awesome.
also another big hill. So you'll get to avoid that one at least.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're good. Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, Steve.
Great,
you.
thanks, everyone.
All right. What we'll do is we adjourn this work session. We'll come back at 7:05. Wait. Well. I thought we did too, don't we? That was at the end, I think. Seems at the end. If I remember correctly.
There it is. I knew what it said, so.